What's up, everybody? We are back. It is tea time with Robyn. It's been a minute.
Too many minutes.
I know, right? How are you?
I'm good, but I'm better now because, I don't get my tea time. I get cranky.
I know. Listen, I was like, when we got on behind the scenes talking, um, like, wow, I think it's been a month, hasn't it?
Yes.
God, that's a long time.
Too long.
Yeah.
We got to rock. You know what kind of show we have to put on today since we've been not
This is
doing much
pressure.
last month.
It's a little bit of pressure today.
Yeah, pressure's on.
Yeah, but it's going to be a great show. We're going to have conversations, not so much about where the Bills are, wide receiver room, what is the defense going to be looking like. We're not going to do that type of show today. So what we're going to talk about today is Tyler Dunne. We're going to be talking about Tyler Dunne, his article, his interview with Brandon Beane. Brandon Beane sat down with Tyler Dunne. It's crazy.
And I was like, oh.
Yeah. And then, hey, so if you guys don't know, and you should, I don't know where you've been, go and read Robyn's article at the Buffalo fan base.
Fam is in family.
Yes. She has an article over there. Go check it out. It's going to coincide of what we're talking about. Can I talk?
You can talk.
Coincide of what we're talking about, right? I know, right? What we're talking about today, I'll go over there and read it. It is a great read. You know, Robyn does her thing. So go over there and check that out as well. I'm going to link it to our pod so you guys won't miss it. So
yeah. Comment. I'd love to know what your thoughts are.
Yeah.
Because I shared my thoughts and holy cow. I have to ask, seriously, okay, like we talked for a couple minutes before we started recording this, but folks, anybody who's listening to this, good morning to you. I'm with you, Robyn. Oh my God, Sandra. Good morning.
Sandra.
It's so good. I'm so happy that you guys are here because we have so much to talk about. This just blew my mind. And the first thing I thought of, and I did think of this, was we need to do a podcast.
Yes.
Because when I saw that, and the first thing I saw was, oh, here's an article about an interview of Brandon Beane by Tyler Dunne. And I'm like,
what? Why? When?
That was like one of those things that made me go, whoa.
Yeah.
That's interesting. And then I was thinking immediately of you because I was like, well, you know what? We did say that we were going to do a podcast if something weird happened. Well, here we go. This is about as weird as it got for me.
Yeah, because we know the whole thing about Tyler Dunne and the article he wrote, or the 3-parter that he wrote about Sean McDermott. Say what you want. I mean, I don't know if it was a hit piece. Some people will call it a hit piece. I know I heard some players call it a hit piece. Players came out and defended Sean McDermott. Right timing, I guess, because they rallied around Sean McDermott and they won 6 games. So thank you for that, Tyler. This is my thing about the article, and it's just me as a person. I don't need to know what happened in rooms because I'm not in them. And if I needed to be in a room, in any room, then someone will welcome me in that room. If I'm not in the room, I don't need to know what's going on in the room. Like I heard a pod, and I want to say it was Rock Power Report, where the whole Diggs situation, and I know I'm going off on a tangent, but I'll bring it right back around. That Diggs was upset. He wanted a meeting with Sean McDermott and I think Brandon Beane, but they invited Ken Dorsey.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know this story, so he got upset about that because he just wanted the meeting with them and not Ken Dorsey. So that's where the whole I'm upset, I'm storming, that whole thing. And then Sean McDermott came out and said, I'm very concerned.
Right. And then the next day, the narrative changed and everybody was left going, what?
Right. So, I mean, that's when you're, that's when I say I wasn't in the room. When stories come out, they come out, but I don't really need to know. Like, I don't need to know. Like that the hit piece with, and I'll say hit piece, but whatever. You guys can say what you want. I didn't need to know about what Sean McDermott said to the players, how he rallied, because you're going to get secondhand information. And when the secondhand information comes out, it's never the same. You know that when you're sitting, I don't know what it's called, but when you tell somebody a story and it goes around the table, and when it comes back to you, the story is totally different.
Totally different. Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that might be what this is. But again, didn't understand why he sat down with him, but kind of glad he did. I mean, I don't know. How are you feeling?
Well,
yeah.
Explained in my article on buffalofanbase.com, I met Tyler Dunne a long time ago. It's been several years back. And I think I told you this off camera. It was under the greatest circumstances because I love Tim Graham.
Mm-hmm.
And people can say what they want, and he can be rough around the edges, but I'll tell you what, he's good to the bone, honest and straightforward. He contacted me one time. I don't remember who I was bitching about, but I was doing my thing, flapping my lips. And he contacted me. Tim contacted me and said, you really need to meet some of us because you really need to understand what we do for a living and why we do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought to myself, that's really ballsy because I didn't really understand what professional journalists did in their code of ethics and so on and so forth. I didn't understand that. So the next time I got to Buffalo, I contacted him and he came through, invited me to meet a few people. And I met Joe Biscaglia, I met Matthew Fairburn, I met a few other people, but I also met Tyler Dunne. And the one thing that struck me about Tyler is that he's very much like Tim in that he will go to the end of the earth to get to the bottom of whatever it is that he thinks he feels like he needs to get to the bottom of.
Mm-hmm.
And we know, because we talked about this before, Tyler Dunne once, when he was on the beat with the Green Bay Packers, wrote what other people would say, it was a hit piece about Aaron Rodgers. And it was very controversial and very gutsy, and it earned him a reputation. Let me put it that way.
Right.
And so we know that Tyler is the kind of guy, and having met him, I understand this about him. He's the consummate professional in the sense that if he sees something that he believes is worth writing about, it doesn't matter how controversial it is.
Right.
He will write about it. It does not matter. And he will dig and he will get the details and he will do it the way that professional investigative journalists do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like it or not, and I'm with you in the sense that I'm not a fan of coming out and publishing things like that. Let me put it that way, that are very personal, and you wonder about, like, why are we reading this? Why are we talking about this? Now, in the case of Sean McDermott, in defense of Tyler in this situation, it did have to do with football. It did have to do with what was going on with the team and his opinion of how Sean McDermott was coaching and so on and so forth. Now, whether I agree with him or not is an entirely different matter. Entirely different matter. But the fact that we have people out there who are professional journalists, who are willing to ask the hardest questions, who are willing to stand in the face of withering criticism and hold their line. And mind you, in this article with Brandon Beane, Tyler Dunne reminds us that he meant everything that he said in the article about Sean McDermott,
Yeah,
because
he didn't take it back at all. He said,
no,
I stand on what I said,
exactly.
which is great. And I like that. Like, you wrote it, stand on it, 10 toes. Awesome.
I think so too. Again, you may not like what he's saying, but I have nothing but the utmost respect for his ability to stand up, bring up his point of view with his sources and, his beliefs, and say what he said and write what he wrote. And I think that is to be commended. And Tyler Dunne we shouldn't be shooting the messenger.
No,
Is
for
my
sure.
point.
Right. I guess I don't have a problem with people speaking their piece or speaking their mind or speaking anything, right? Especially as a journalist. I'm far from that. Far removed, not that. I'm a podcaster. That's what I do. My only thing is
Stay in my
timing.
lane.
Right. I definitely stay in my lane. I guess for me, it was all about timing. You know what I mean? And that was it. But also, too, timing could be timing. It could be great timing. And for this particular moment with the Buffalo Bills, maybe that's what they needed, a kick in the butt, to be rallied around each other, to rally around your coach. Not saying that, because I don't know the thoughts of Tyler. Did he do it because the Bills were dwindling and maybe he was like, let me put some fire underneath their ass and see what happens? Or was he saying this is going to be the nail in Sean McDermott's coffin? Right? So we don't know, but it turned out to be the best for the Buffalo Bills. But speaking of Brandon Beane, in an interview, he said he was very transparent. Like, absolutely love Brandon Beane. Brandon Beane will give you, like, for most GMs, they don't give you too much of anything. Like, they talk in circles. They don't really say too much. Brandon Beane is a kind of a GM. Listen, I'm not perfect. I made mistakes. Probably, sending someone away, which, like he always says, I could kick my own self in the ass when it comes to Tyler. I mean,
Wyatt Teller.
Well, Teller. I can kick my own self in the ass for that one. So I loved his interview. The only thing that we talked about off air is, why did you sit down with him? Knowing he sat down with Sean and kind of dug in him, and you supposed to be my ace goon boon over here, and you go and sit down with the guy that's giving me grief. Like, you know what I mean? So that was my only.
And that's why I went just like, whoa. I went crazy when I saw the interview. I was like, what the hell? And then in my article, I screenshot the comment that made my head explode.
Explain it.
And that comment was that I didn't seek out at the combine, at the NFL combine. This is Tyler Dunne speaking. I didn't seek out Sean McDermott. He sought me out. I'm paraphrasing here.
Right. Of course.
Okay. But he sought me out and we had a chat. Okay. Stop right there. Because right in that moment, I thought to myself, I got to talk to T.
He tapped him on the shoulder.
You were the first person I thought of, because I thought to myself, oh my God, my head is exploding.
Yeah.
And I thought about that. And I mean to tell you, I processed it for several days before I wrote that article. I wrote that article probably, I don't know, a week or two, maybe. I don't know how much later it was than he put it out, but I literally had to sit with it, because I was in all the stuff about Tyler Dunne aside, because I said what I feel about
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Dunne, and I have nothing but the utmost respect for him. And if I met him in the street, I would shake his hand, give him a hug, because he's ballsy, man. I
Yeah.
got nothing but respect. But Sean McDermott, I'm thinking, who does that? Who
You,
does that? Who
but
does that?
you want. I could see me doing that, right?
I could do it.
If somebody wrote an article about me, I would want to know. Let's have a conversation.
Exactly.
Not that we need to be friends, not that we need to be on the same page. Just let me. I want to tell you my perspective, where I was at, kind of, and not trying to not trying to convince you. Not trying to convince you at all. You have your opinion of me, which is fine. And I think that's what's wrong with people. Like, you can't change somebody's opinion. Maybe you can, but their opinion is their opinion, and they're all right to it. They can have it.
And it's theirs. It's not yours.
Right,
So
absolutely.
you don't have to take it on if you don't agree with it.
I just thought it was really ballsy for Sean McDermott.
Well, I even took it further than that.
Yeah.
Because I thought about it for a long time about, okay, so how do I process this in my head about how Sean McDermott approached Tyler? But from what I read in Tyler's description, it sounded like McDermott was genuinely interested in knowing more about the comments that were made, not because he, I want to know which person said, but that wasn't it.
Yeah.
That wasn't it at all. It was what you're talking about, and probably what I would do as well. But it's not common, okay, for somebody at his level to have the temerity, to have, to have the guts to face somebody who really ripped, like I said in my article, ripped him an a-hole.
Yeah.
Just ripped him an a-hole. Okay, fine.
But I mean, Robyn, and he said that they really didn't talk too much about the article.
Right.
Which was
mind-blowing.
Okay. Like,
mind-blowing.
Because I read some of the article, because I'm not gonna lie, a 3-parter of that season was a lot. We went through it as a fan. I don't need to read it, but it was from this perspective of Sean McDermott, and I, as a man, I don't know, that was a lot.
It was a lot.
That was a lot. So for somebody to write an article about me as a person who I am, as a woman as I am, it's like, but you don't know me. So it's like,
right.
But
at the same time, and this is what I found intriguing, and I mean this at the deepest level, Sean McDermott is an unusual man.
Yes. But his character, and I think that's why he did it, Robyn. Character.
Bingo.
Not to cut you off, go ahead.
Because that's exactly why he did it. And you could tell, because let's go back in time and remember when he was asked about it after the article came out, and the media softballed, but they asked him about it, and he was almost in tears.
Yeah.
Because you could tell that affected him, deeply affected him. Anybody that couldn't see that, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But he was deeply affected by that. So in some ways, we shouldn't be surprised that he might approach Tyler. In some ways, that's not unexpected of him. But what I found deeply intriguing was the why he did it. Like you said, it wasn't about trying to rationalize or make himself feel better or whatever. I think he legitimately went to Tyler to find out, what is it specifically that upsets my players? Because whatever it is, I want to work on it so that my relationship with my players is better.
Yeah.
I think it was deeply personal. And I have nothing but the most tremendous admiration for Sean McDermott for doing that, because it takes a person a lot of guts to do it.
It does. You're right. I mean, again, if someone wrote an article about me and me being a coach, and then also to kind of personalizing it, I think I would take some offense and would want to know, not that, again, not to change your opinion of me, but just to see like what's
right?
yeah, what's
Like
this?
what can I learn from this?
And that's probably it.
What can I learn from it? What can I learn from this experience and take from it and grow from it? And that's always been Sean McDermott. He's always been extremely self-critical.
Oh yeah.
He absolutely, and will own his stuff, but he doesn't always want to do it publicly, and I don't blame him for that.
Yeah, because they're very, ever since Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane came into the Buffalo Bills organization, we haven't had too many leaks, if we could say none, because they're very, very want to keep everything in-house and tight. And I to be quite honest, I like it. Maybe I'm different. I don't want to hear any of that crap. I'm sorry.
No, the way it was before was a nightmare.
Yes, it was a nightmare. And you're just like, you wake up when it's like, what? Okay, another one. Oh God, yes, great. Okay. That's why I was glad when Rex Ryan left. I was like,
oh my God,
get this out of here.
You know, it was a circus. And we didn't need to have a circus.
No, we didn't need that. That's so happy that left. But going back to Brandon Beane, and so they spoke about a lot of different things. They spoke about the division itself. They spoke about Diggs. They spoke about Ray
Davis.
Ray Davis. They spoke about Ray Davis. My bad. But let's speak about Brandon Beane, about the division, saying the easiest way to win, to go to the postseason, is winning the division, and focusing on that and starting there. He asked, do we believe we're a complete team? Do you believe we're a complete team right now?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I've got one area of concern, and my biggest area of concern is Matt Milano.
Okay.
I'm more worried about him than I am Von Miller. We'll get to that, but I want to see Matt Milano be able to perform.
I do too. And I have concerns, but we have the whole training camp to talk about that. But we do.
That is my concern.
Yeah, mine too.
Can we get back to something that Brandon Beane said?
Yes.
Because this just blows my mind. And I think people need to, during this off time, take a moment and go to YouTube and take a look at Ray Davis's highlights. Because Brandon Beane talked about Ray Davis.
I love Ray Davis.
I love this guy.
That's my guy. And you know why, his backstory. But I went and watched.
Oh my God.
He's good.
He's a stud.
James Cook. Be careful. Just saying.
No, I'm telling you what. True. But we also know about a Sean McDermott team that rookies have to earn their
Oh yeah.
But here's where he's going to earn it. And this is what nobody's talking about. But this is where it's like they drafted this guy, to be a running back. Okay, backup, whatever. Just think about what he's going to do on special teams.
Yeah.
Because he is going to play special teams.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to be a special teams stud.
But he's also an enforcer.
Yes.
And I think so. I think me and Mike did a pod, and we were talking about dogs on the team.
Dog, man. He's all dog.
And you can tell that Ray Davis
is a dog.
Is a dog. He's an enforcer. We don't have too many. We have them. We don't have too many. But that guy, he's one of them. And I think that's what attracted Brandon Beane to him. And I get it. Everybody wanted to do that. The Jets picked. I forgot his name, but they wanted him. I get it. But we don't have, like, we had the guy last year. He ran out of gas. What was his name? Oh my God.
Latavius Murray
ran out of gas.
Ran
out of gas towards the end of the season. His legs were jello. Yes, he's old, but the beginning of the season, he was the man. He was that enforcer. He played really well. Towards the end of the season, he didn't have anything left. His tank was empty.
It was
empty. Like, we have this guy, Ray Davis, where you can mold him. He's already there. He's there.
You watch him cut.
Oh, like, come on. I can't. Yeah. Robyn, I'm telling you, that is the one that.
I'm with you.
That's my training camp, darling. I say it all the time.
I'm with you. Yeah. Out of everybody in the draft, honestly, I think he's the biggest steal.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, along with our defensive end,
Dwayne Carter.
Yes.
He's going
to come in too.
He's going to be a problem.
Yeah. Again, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, he's going to be a problem. Yeah. We talked about this and a few other things, since we can probably move on from that.
Yes.
You asked a question about whether or not, when do you think Bobby Babich is going to start calling plays on defense? T?
Listen, I think Bobby is calling. Well, so Bobby is calling him right now in minicamp and some during the OTAs. I think Bobby's. I don't know if he's going to jump off. I wish he would. I wish Sean McDermott would just hand it over to him now, so we'll know what that looks like.
So maybe put this in your little feather in your cap. So maybe part of what Sean McDermott learned about himself from Tyler Dunne and all of the things that happened there is that he's got to trust the people
around him.
That he puts. Yes. And that might be why I think Bobby Babich is going to start from day one. He'll be calling the plays. He's ready to go. He's ready to roll.
But they did say that, though.
Yes.
And I think.
But I think it's going to be true, which is often not the same thing.
Right. But there's, players that came out and said that Sean McDermott has to have his hands and stuff. You know what I'm saying? And that can be a bit much.
That may be what he learned.
Right. Exactly. You're too involved. Right. And when I said this whole time last season, I said, I think it might be too much for Sean McDermott. He may be spreading himself too thin. Although that defense was just as good as prior seasons. So did it fall off? I don't think the defense fell off at all. If anything, it might have stepped up a notch. I don't know if you've seen that I had put something on my keep calling it Twitter X, that Leslie Frazier had did a podcast.
Oh yes, I didn't see the podcast though. What did you think of it?
So he's with someone, I can't remember what team he's with. I forgot. He still loves the defense. I mean, he still loves the Buffalo Bills. He still loves Trey White. I mean, because that's his.
That's Leslie Frazier, though, right?
It's bold, yeah. He talked about Jordan Poyer. He talked about Micah Hyde. Again, he talked about Trey White.
Those are his guys.
Those are his guys, man. And I'm so sad it just couldn't continue to work, because when you have a defense, I'm not saying it's outdated, but when you don't want to come off of that, maybe that defense has passed you by. But I would have loved to see Leslie Frazier back with the Buffalo Bills. I would have. But when you have two defensive minds like a Sean McDermott and Leslie Frazier, I don't think it worked. I don't think it worked.
No, and I think you're right. I think the bottom line was the scheme was outdated, and the NFL changes, and you have to
It's
constantly
going to
adapt.
change again this year.
Of course.
Yeah,
Of
it's going to
course.
change again. But let's talk about Brandon Beane, what he said about Diggs. Brandon Beane will not say a negative thing about Diggs. And
I'm glad.
I love it.
Right. Diggs helped us.
Mm-hmm.
The time for him to go was based upon, in my opinion, the same thing that happened in Minnesota. He gets a little unhappy, but the kiss of death in any relationship is when you don't get along with your quarterback. And you know that for whatever reason, that relationship soured on some level and was never the same.
And we will speculate. We won't know. Again, glad I'm not in the room. But
I
as a
don't care.
podcaster, I have to talk. But I'll say this, and I've said this before. I think if you are the spotlight and it's not your quarterback, there is a problem. He's a franchise to this team. He's the face to this team. You as a wide receiver, you're not. Unless you don't have a franchise quarterback,
Right.
then yes, the wide receiver. But if you have a franchise quarterback, that is who it is. He's the face. He's the face of this organization. And for you to continue to make him look, and this is just my words, belittle him on national TV, doing things on the sideline, slamming stuff as being more than Josh Allen, you gotta go. You gotta go.
If there's, like I said, if the relationship sours, it isn't going to be the quarterback that's going.
Yeah.
And we've seen, and then we have a pattern, right? I mean, something soured in Minnesota.
Right.
And so this is starting to be a pattern of behavior with Stefan. And I feel the same way that Brandon Beane does. I don't want to trash talk Stefan.
Right.
I think when he was a Buffalo Bill, he was fantastic. And I think that, like I said, I'm not privy to the details. I don't need to know the details. But whatever happens when your relationship with your quarterback sours, that's a kiss of death.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the sideline antics was just
too much.
Okay.
The screaming at Josh, I think that was may have been a straw for Josh. Screaming at him on the sidelines.
And that was when Joe Brady was the quarterback coach. So they're both sitting there, and whatever he's saying with his hands, Ken Dorsey was the OC. And if you had a problem with the OC from that time, and it lines up to what happened.
It did.
The whole offseason to the beginning of the season. It all lines up. So,
totally did. So, and like Brandon Beane said, and this is what I agree with, it's like, okay, so there's issues, boom, you get to do what you need to do, we get to do what we need to do, and thank you very much for your service.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. There's no reason that we need to dog Diggs. We don't need to whatever. Diggs is Diggs. Let Diggs be Diggs, and let's move on.
And for everyone to say, you guys took that 31 million cap hit. Timing. He said timing. It was all about timing, because who says they're going to get a second next year? You know what I mean? Who says that? He got a second for him this year.
That's good.
That was awesome.
That's Brandon Beane, though.
I'm telling you, I love Brandon Beane. Again, Sean McDermott, I don't know if he's on the hot seat or not, because everybody say he is. I mean, I don't know. That's not for me to say, but I don't think he is. I think he does have to prove that you have an elite quarterback.
Time to win a Super Bowl.
You cannot waste his. Thank you. You cannot waste his time.
Time to win a Super Bowl.
I know the money was tight this year. I get it.
But look at what he did with the salary cap, man.
Yeah.
I'm telling you what, Brandon Beane has got it going, because he can manage a salary cap. And I know he gives credit to Overdorf and counting people, the bean counters and so on. But it's Brandon Beane that pulls it all together.
Yeah. I mean, you know, everybody got us not winning the division. Everybody has,
Well, good.
you
I like
know,
it that way.
I, I just actually listened to Mina Kine's podcast. She still got the Buffalo Bills offense as number 8. They has their defense as number 10. She was also stating that a lot of people are not looking at the Buffalo Bills to do too much of anything.
Good. Bring it on. I think that's the best narrative we could hope for. Thank you.
Yeah. So, you know,
I'm good with it. I'm not kidding. I'm good with it because I think the Bills play better when they've got a chip on their shoulder.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, I've said this before, players listen to what national media have to say about the Buffalo Bills. They tuck it in their pocket and they're like, okay, so now we're finishing last. Okay, so now that we don't have Diggs, our offensive is going to take a plump. Okay, now our wide receiver room sucks. Okay, you know, it's just a constant of let me tuck that one. Oh, that one, let me grab that one. Oh, you said, oh, let me grab that. Okay, I got it.
Gotcha. I love it. I'm telling you, I like you in terms of you don't care about the knowing details or anything like that. I don't care what anybody thinks about the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
I don't give a flip. I don't.
I love it.
You know, I care about what you think. I may care about what a few people who I respect think. Mm-hmm. I sure as crap don't give a rat's butt what anybody on ESPN thinks.
Yeah, no.
And I don't care who they are.
And she also said a lot of people who are talking about the Buffalo Bills haven't watched the Buffalo Bills play.
Thank you.
And I'm with that too. I'm with that too. Like it's just like some people just talk because they see another analyst talking, so they're going to grab that and say, "Yeah, that's right. Diggs is gone." So yeah, you know what I mean?
Talk away.
Right, for sure. But going into this, into the summer, we're going to be taking a break. But before we get into all of that, what is some things that the Buffalo Bills, and we've talked about it just now, the Buffalo Bills wide receiver room, is it good enough?
Definitely. I think this is the best wide receiver room we've had in years. I do. In terms of depth, what are you people smoking? Yeah. I mean, come on. You've got Shakir, you've got AVS, you got Mac Hollis, you got Coleman, and that's not even counting Curtis Samuel.
Right.
And then you bring in Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox. Please give me a break. The wide receiver room is just fine.
Yeah, I think so too. When will Bobby Babbage take over the defensive calling? Right like away. We just said, I hope right away. I really do. I really, really do. Is it over for the Buffalo Bills now that Diggs is gone? We're going to be hearing this stuff all summer. Yay for us. Josh Allen's offense. This is Josh Allen's offense. Joe Brady came out and said it is. So I can't wait to see what they do.
Oh, my God. Neither can I.
Right.
Especially because I think this offensive line has the potential to be very good this year.
Speaking of the offensive line, any concerns on the offensive line?
No.
For you?
I don't.
Okay. I'm going to be opposite.
Good.
I don't have concerns. I don't like that you messed it up. I get why you did because of Mitch Morris, money-wise and stuff like that. I know. I've never knew what McGovern looked like. Never knew what he looked like. Now that we're seeing him, like, oh, that's Connor McGovern. Okay. My only thing, I know Connor McGovern, that's his true. He said that's his true position. I get it.
We'll find out.
Him. Right. You just switched him, I guess. And then I just seen that they're going to play Van Pran. What's his name? Grander, whatever. I can never say his name.
Granja.
Thank you. They're going to be switching him to guard?
Possibly. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All righty.
That works. They want him on the field because here's what Cromer does, and I like it. They want players that are interchangeable, but they also want the best 5.
Yes. Yeah.
And
they see what he can do. But we have a good center. So let's see what you can do as guard.
Exactly.
Like it.
Exactly. And trust
Like it.
me, and if he's Connor McGovern's insurance plan,
Yes. Yeah.
and that's not a bad thing. But they're also, by switching him to guard, are saying we need him on the field.
Yeah.
He's one of the top five. Cromer will
So
put the
they're
top
like,
five.
we can't keep this guy on the sideline. There's no way. We see something. We can't have him there standing.
He's got to play.
He's got to play. Like it. I love it. I love it. Joe Brady,
Yes.
offense. First year, it's his full time. I'm excited to see what this offense entails. How are they going to use Coleman? How are they going to use Curtis Samuel out the backfield? I want to see some different plays. I want to see some we haven't had the big ball for Josh for a minute, although that Diggs one, whatever. But we really haven't had a deep ball from Josh in a while. Maybe it's his shoulder, maybe it's, whatever techniques, he's working on that as well. But I'm really excited to see what Joe Brady offense is going to look like.
Yes, because, and this is my thing, this is the year of Dalton Kincaid.
Cheers to that.
Dalton Kincaid is going to be a revelation to the rest of the NFL. He's going to emerge as a superstar stud. If he can stay healthy, which I hope he does. Mm-hmm. Knox, you worry about him every now and then because he gets dinged up.
Yeah.
Easily. But Dalton Kincaid has, he played pretty solid. He wasn't dogged by injury, and that's not his history either. If he stays healthy, I think he absolutely destroys tight ends stats for the Bills, because the Bills have never had a true, since Ernie Warlick, since like the 1960s, they haven't had a true stud butt tight end. And now they have one. And this guy is going to break every Buffalo Bills tight end record, Ernie Warlick. But I also think he's going to take the league by storm.
I like that. I like it. I mean, you've seen it, some of it last year,
Yes.
And although, the demand was to Stephon Diggs, so you had to have that. And, someone had said it to where it's like you have to feed your number one wide receiver. And when you're not feeding him, it's like you're not using your offense. The offense is not flowing well. Mm-hmm. But now you don't have that pressure as a quarterback to be like, okay, where's my number one? Okay, where's my number one? I have to feed my number one. I have my number one to get to touches. So that won't be there this year. Josh doesn't have to always be concerned about where's my number one? Where's, you know what I mean?
Or worrying about Diggs' ego, if he's not getting the ball and that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. But also, it goes without saying, Shakir is a guy who I think also is going to emerge this season, and people are going to go, who's that guy? Right. But we know who he is because Shakir drops nothing.
People are going to be shocked. People are really going to be shocked. And
he has some of the best hands I've ever seen on a wide receiver. I mean, he can catch everything that's thrown at him.
He is ready for the spotlight.
He is.
He's not shying down at all. He's ready.
And his work, I think his work with Eric Moulds is really going to pay off, because Eric Moulds is helping him here with his confidence and swagger and all of that, because Shakir's been kind of a quiet guy that you don't hear that much about. You will be. Josh will be Josh, and we are going to win. No pressure, Sandra. Yes. Yeah. You are absolutely right about that. And I think Josh is going to be Josh, and Josh is going to have a passel full of people that he can throw the ball to, because guess what? James Cook also can take the pressure off too.
Mm-hmm. I think the run game is, I don't think they're not going to not throw the ball. I don't think their first option would be run. I don't think this offense is going to be set up like that. But I think, again, I've said this in previous seasons. I think the run game is the balanced offense that Sean McDermott has been talking about for the last 2 seasons. I think it's going to be this year. It might possibly be this year.
I think so.
You know, so one more. Von Miller.
I wrote about Von Miller too on the fan base a few articles ago. I think Von Miller, I saw the clip. Did you send me the clip?
Yes. So the first one, he was doing some shuttle, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, all right, okay. He's balancing his knee, looks good. The other one, I said, Von is ready.
He's ready.
He's ready.
I think he's ready, and he's like all us old people. You can't.
Take us a minute.
It takes longer to recover from an ACL when you're older, and the ACL is required to work at an extreme level the way he plays because he's bendy, right? And so these guys have a harder task, I believe, when they're recovering to get their lateral mobility going as well as everything else. But when you sent me that second clip of him making cuts, I was like, okay, so Von's serious.
I put this in here before I even sent the clip. I said, Von Miller expectations, will he start over AJ Epinesa? My bad. Yeah.
I'll tell you, I think that Von's going to be very helpful, even if Von isn't the old Von. Right. Take 80% of Von any day of the week.
Because he was 25 last year.
Oh my God, yes. But the other thing, and it is not something that I think people should just brush off, Von Miller is teaching these young guys.
Mm-hmm.
And so he has value, even though people overpaid him. Okay, fine, whatever, he's overpaid. But at least he's not disappeared. Yes, it's Miller time. I have that T-shirt. I'm going to wear it today, I think. It's Miller time. But seriously, he took a pay cut, a significant pay cut.
Who would do that? Not many players.
Exactly. And I wrote about this, and this is what I think people need to pay attention to. It's like, okay, so Von Miller had his off the field issues that he had to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
But we also know that Von Miller has said repeatedly that he is a student of Brandon Beane because someday he would very much like to be a GM.
Right.
Well, I'm sure Brandon Beane, being the GM that he is, said to Von at the end of the season, okay, well, we got $50 million we got to cut. And you put us in a bad position during the season with your off the field stuff. So here's what we think you should do. Consider taking a pay cut to help us out.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that Von Miller took that back and said, you know what? That's fair.
And also, too, you didn't play well. Right.
And he wants to play, but he also wants to be a GM. And he knows that when you have issues like a cap hit as bad as the Bills' cap hit was, I think he also understood that it was kind of like, you know what? Whatever happened, but it hurt my reputation, and I need to make it right.
Yeah, I also too, I want to say some of that stuff is incentives too, right? Let me put an incentive here and just say, look, if you give us, because Von, before he got injured, had 8 sacks. Now, coming back last year, Von, we know Von wasn't Von. But that year prior to that, before he got injured, he had 8. He was probably on the verge of getting 10 to 12, maybe. Who knows?
Probably.
Come this year, if you can give us 6 or even 8. And let me write that in a contract to say, if you give us this, here's the incentives. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
You get some of your money back. And that's the other lesson that Brandon Beane was teaching him. This is how you can manage a cap. You got a difficult player in a difficult situation and you need this or whatever. You go to that player and ask him, hey, can you help me out?
Right. I mean, it's a tough conversation, but as a GM, you have these tough conversations.
Well, and he needs, if he wants to be a GM, he got to, learn it.
You have to learn how to, have those conversations. But that being said,
oh my God, we ran 49 minutes already.
Yeah, that's crazy, right? Because we were just saying that how we're gonna I mean, it's going to be a conversation, but are we going to talk that long? And look, we did.
Yes.
It's always good talking with you. Everything is never like stretching it out or nothing like that. How are we going to pull this out? We do it. It's just
It
endless.
rolls.
It
The
rolls. For
crap
sure.
just rolls off of us like nobody's
Yes.
business. So the other thing that we wanted to say at the end, and I will introduce this, but thank you to our listeners.
Yes. We
Thank you
appreciate you
so
guys.
much, because T and I do this thing and we don't care about numbers or clicks or any of that sort of thing. We do it because we love the game.
Hmm.
And we love it from a slightly different perspective than a lot of other people focus on. And I think it's the most fun I've ever had. And I can't thank you enough for being my partner in crime, because you're the
Absolutely.
best. You are the
Thank you.
absolute freaking best. And you are my sister. I love you like a sister.
I love
And
you too.
that's like fills my heart to just be able to spend time with you. But also to thank our listeners, the people that do come along with us, because we're happy to have you. We really
Yes.
are. It's not like we don't want listeners.
No. It's always shocking when someone says,
I
I
know. I
listen to your
listen to
pod.
the podcast. I'm like, what? You
What?
do? And
Awesome. Now
it,
I'm scared.
we don't. And that's the thing. But we're thankful for the people that do join us and understand our crazy little warped perspective on things.
Yes, 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 for sure. But that being said, again, thank you guys. We are going to be going on vacation for a bit. We will be back.
When we're
Go
going
ahead.
to be back, I think the week before training camp starts, right?
Yes, yes.
So
Thank you,
expect us.
Sandra.
I love you, Sandra. I love you.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
We do.
Sandra also listens to the other pod that I have with Mike.
Really?
Yeah, she's a clown over there too.
Well,
Jokey joke.
T, she loves you, T, and I love you
I love
too.
it. I love it. I
So
appreciate her very,
thank you
very much.
so much. And
Yes, we're
I'm
coming
looking,
back the week before training camp starts. And yeah, we'll have a pod out there. We'll be talking about, training. I'm going to training camp. Actually, I just received some tickets from LeSean. He gave me some tickets. I love LeSean. I'll be going out there the 29th, July 29th. So you'll be getting some of my takes from the
I
training
think
camp.
you should do like be on Twitter and give us the other pod. My name is Sandra. Oh, you have
Yes. Inside joke. So the one time she had put her name up, and so I quickly glanced at it, and I said, "Oh, Sandra's on," and Mike was like, "What? No, Sandra's on." I said, "Sandra's on." Mike was like, "Her name is Sandra." I was like, "Oh yeah, my bad." And then I keep calling her that, and so she's like, "That's my name. That's
it
it."
sticks. Just go with whatever sticks. I think that's the easiest thing to do.
Right.
That's where I'm at with this stuff.
Right.
But
But yes, so I might do a live while I'm at training camp
that'd be
to give
cool.
you guys some stuff, but I don't want to tape anything because I really don't want to give no information to other people, you know what I mean? And I get the bills. They don't want
They
us
don't
to be
want
doing
anything
stuff like
going out.
that. Yeah. And I
Of
totally
course
understand
not.
it. I respect that for sure.
But we'll look forward to that.
Yes, I can't wait. It's going to be
And I
exciting.
haven't found out yet if Dean, our draft
Yes.
guy, Dean, always tries to cover training camp because he lives 10
Yes.
minutes from there. But every year now it's sweating bullets to get tickets. And so he doesn't know yet whether he's going to be able to make any of the, because they're on a lottery system now.
Yes. So, okay, before we get out of here, so I seen the release, you can, whatever. So I go click on it, it's like lottery. I'm like, okay, look, Buffalo Bills, you guys are getting a little bit too boo 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 boo. So I'm like, all right, I put my name in certain ones, whatever. So then my friend, we always go, and I'm like, hey, you might want to go and try to get a lottery. I did these days, try to do these days. So then I was on Spaces yesterday, and I was like, hey, does anybody have training camp tickets? Can you give me 2? LeSean. Hey, T, I got you. I'm like, what? Awesome. So he's like,
That's
I got
what
it
you
for
got to do. You've got to beg for him. And
right.
I used to come to training camp and
They
cover
were
training
free.
camp in all the way from Wyoming,
Freaking
and I
free.
can no longer do that because
Yeah.
I can't if I can't be certain that I'm going to have tickets, I'm not flying all the way from Wyoming.
And I
Because I
get
think
it. They're a hot commodity. The Buffalo Bills are up there. I get all of it. I understand it. But it's
it's a little crazy.
It's a little crazy. It's a little crazy. But I'm thankful I get to go again this year. So
Good. Well, you have to keep us all posted.
I definitely will. Again, guys, thank you. We will see you in the summer. I'm not passing this summer away fast because I have kids and I have to enjoy it with them. So
yes,
but yeah,
absolutely. But we'll be back about the week before training camp. That'll probably be sometime in the latter part of July. I don't have a calendar in front of me, but I think training. Look at the Thursday. Look at the
training
Thursday.
camp starts on the 25th. I want to say, right?
I think so.
So we will be back the 18th.
Sounds good.
All right.
I'll write it down so I don't forget.
All right, guys. Again, thank you for always showing up and supporting us. This has been Tea Time with Robyn, and we're out. Peace out. Enjoy your
As
summer.
we always say,
yes.
Go
Go
Bills.
Bills.